I get diarrhea daily, like sometimes 2, 3 times, sometimes more a day. And then from that, I don't know if it's from that, but I often suffer with anemia. So I'm back and forth to the doctor to be on iron tablets.
Okay.
So suffer from a lot of fatigue and tiredness, sometimes nausea, which affects like eating and appetite. Definitely have like cognition issues and like memory problems. I guess a bit of depression and anxiety sometimes. Like sometimes some of the symptoms come and go. Like for a while I was getting kind of repetitive candida, and like vaginal thrush, and also like cracks in the corners of my mouth, which kind of didn't seem to go away with anything, unless I used like kind of, I don't know if it's called an antimicrobial or like an antifungal maybe. I used like an antifungal capsule, and I would put that in the corners of my mouth, and then that would be the only thing that really cleared it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I get stomach pain and bloating, but actually since listening to your podcast and taking more time around eating and the process of sitting down and acknowledging food, sometimes that is a lot better. I get UTIs as well, but they come and go, so I'm not suffering from that at the moment. For the last 10 years anyway, I've always been quite health conscious. Definitely before that, I probably abused my body and diet and stuff like that.
Okay.
But recently I've cut out gluten and cut out sugar and cut out alcohol. And I am seeing like definitely like the candida side not flare up as much anymore, but the rosacea and the acne, I think it's rosacea, I think it's acneic rosacea.
Yeah.
That's quite a recent thing, and even like through changing the diet, it's very persistent, and it's not really affected, like the gluten or the no sugar, it's not really affected anything in the acne.
Okay. How long have you been? How often have you been quite low sugar now? Is it just recently? You said.
Oh, since mid-April, I think. We went on holiday, and even just having a prosecco and an ice cream, like the next day, it would really, really affect me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had a UTI for like the rest of the holiday and stuff like that. So when we came back from Easter holidays, I thought, no, I'm just going to cut it out completely. And that has helped. Like I haven't had a UTI or any thrush or anything. I do take caprylic acid, and that seems to, when I take that seems to stop the thrush. It's when I stop taking that I do notice it comes back quite quickly.
Okay. Well, the sugar will feed that directly. So it's still quite early days, I'd say as well. It's been a few weeks really. So I think maybe have some patience going forward and just keep, stick with it, because the sugar and the candida are like best buddies. Like you take one of them away, the other one will start to withdraw. So, caprylic acid is also really abundant in coconut oil. So perhaps you could just use that really liberally in your cooking and preparing food, and then you don't sort of feel like maybe you're so reliant on caprylic acid supplements.
Yep.
Perfect.
I was thinking maybe D-mannose as well for those UTIs, which is quite a natural product to help clean out the UTI. So that you can just get that from the pharmacy. And yeah, I would say that, you're on the right path. Maybe think about the, really sort of doing as much as you can over the next sort of 3-4 months minimum, because I think you'll resolve quite a lot of those symptoms by what you're already doing. And in maybe, by the end of the summer, you might find yourself, potentially symptom free if you just keep working on that diet and those supplements with that bit of advice.
So I wasn't sure if I'd maybe, because I would say like a flexitarian diet, so predominantly plant, but then I've like tried to include fish, and I am starting to include meat again, but I do notice I get a sore stomach after that. And I wasn't sure if it had, like after listening to the podcast, if it was anything to do with acid or not.
Yeah, it could be, because if you've been more sort of plant-based, your stomach acid will your body will adapt to whatever you're doing. So you don't need as much acid to digest plants. So when you eat meat again, it's really common to feel that you struggle to digest it. But betaine as a supplement can be really helpful in the short term to just help. It basically supplements your physiological stomach acid so that you can then digest the meat proteins more easily. And then by eating meat regularly in your diet, it won't be long before your own production of stomach acid will upregulate again to actually accommodate that. So I think that's probably a good idea from the anemia perspective to make sure that you do have meat in your diet. And, you know, it may reassure you to think of every symptom that you've mentioned, the anemia, the fatigue, the nausea, the cognition issues and memory, depression and anxiety, candida, and the cracks in the corners of your mouth. All of these things are connected as one. So I think what Hannah suggested is give it 3 months and let's just clear the fog of what's going on for you, because if you really eliminate sugar now and take care of your diet, introduce some meat for the iron, give it 3 months, you may not have any of these symptoms. But if you do, it would have cleared the fog of the other things that are clouding the judgment of what you really need to do next.
Exactly.
And it will expose the next steps for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's perfect. And it's good to have like that definitive kind of timeline for try this for 3 months and stuff like that, because I just, wasn't sure how long to really continue.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that's the issue. You know, we pick up a product and we take it for a few days or a couple of weeks and we're not really sure. So as a rule of thumb, a 12-week, timeline works pretty well to, as we said, clear the fog.